It's time for Veterans Issues, the show that brings you information about veterans, military, and their family. Now here's your host, Ken Rollins.
Welcome to Veterans Issues. We are brought to you by the Red, White, and Blue. Ken Rollins here, and we got today's show is Kelvin Burris and Boyd Scoggins. They from Anderson Army Depot, the substance abuse program. We're going to talk about more than that. We're going to talk about a supermarket of benefits. So stay right there at the pen. Welcome back to Veterans Issues. I'm still Ken Rollins. We're going to talk to a couple of fellows from Anderson Army Depot. They're here they work for the substance abuse program out there, but today we got that involved. We got the suicide prevention. We got a lot of things we're going to talk about today, but the main thing we're going to talk about is the the benefit program that we got for the supermarket of veterans benefits. It's going to be held here in September. So welcome to the show, Boyd Scoggins, Kelvin Burris.
Thank you, sir.
Good to have y'all.
All right.
Y'all didn't have nowhere else to go today. Just decided you come by here and tell me about that.
Talk to you for a little while.
There you
Yes,
go.
sir.
Well, let's get this off. Then I'm retired Anderson Army Depot, so I get a little bit biased if I speak highly of the depot. The program that it's going to be on at 16th and Noble up there in Quintard, the City Meeting Center, and it's September what?
16.
September the 16th. Now, let me, before we go any further, if we get the control room to bring up the flyer so people can be getting the information off of that. But September the 16th from 9 to, let's see what I say, 9 to 3?
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's see, for Marines, that'd be the little hand on 3 and the big hand on 12. That's right.
There you go. Yes, sir. For the Marines.
They're going to kill me. Well, the ex-Marine I have on here is going to remind me of that. Okay, we got the flyer up there for you folks at home or wherever you are. You can see that. If you're driving down the road looking at this on TV, you shouldn't be. You should be pulled over. Anyhow, this is the information on the 16th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And it's for all branches of the military, federal employees, veterans, and their families, and survivors are invited. Now, we can bring that down. But this is, to have a supermarket of benefits is self-explanatory. It says you got some of everything. You're going to have a veteran service officer. Who are you going to have there, Boyd?
Well, we're going to have the services that typically we associate with veterans. People from the VA will be there. Department of Rehabilitation Services will be there. But one of the things that, since this is a suicide prevention fair as well, we're going to have organizations like Bradford Health Services. We're going to have maybe local mental health hospitals come in, maybe Ridgeview over in Georgia is going to come over and set up an exhibit. 12 Oaks down in Navarre Beach, Florida is going to come up and exhibit. They have a substance abuse program that is geared strictly for veterans.
Really? Now, people need to understand that even though this is a huge facility, their meeting and their discussions will be private, and there will be no reason to be somebody be afraid to. Well, a lot of people, for example, if the suicide prevention, they may have a loved one that they want to talk to you about, maybe a spouse or whatever, maybe. They don't have to worry about someone overhearing that conversation or whatever. They can give them privacy up there.
Most of the time, people that exhibit for these organizations are very familiar with, you know,
Sensitivity of the...
I mean, the confidentiality of the folks that they serve. So if there is a situation like that, I can assure you that it will be handled with...
I'm just thinking about you know how close this community is. Everybody knows everybody. Somebody sees somebody over here sitting with a counselor for suicide prevention. They start, in their head, they start figuring it out. Oh, that person's this or that person's that. But they have a way of, I mean, they're not putting your business out there in the streets, what I'm saying. They get...
I think the way we're going to have it set up is that they're going to be comfortable when they talk to the people about suicide prevention, because what they're doing is just going to gather some information from them and do a follow-up later on.
Right.
This is all about information, and they get the information and then they can get with them later on to talk to them more, you know, one-on-one, so to speak.
I've been to it. We've done them ourselves. The Alabama Department of Veterans Affairs, we had one at the Civic Center. City Meeting Center, we had over 1,000 people come to that one, and I consider that a success. We've had them in Mobile, we've had them in Birmingham, and you get a bag as you come in, and you can get information from each one of the things. Doesn't mean you're sitting there having a problem with it. You may
Right,
want to
so-
take it back to show it to somebody else. And that's something that's really good. If you know somebody that you think might be in need of this, that's a great place to get it and take it back and pass that on to them.
Yes, sir, that is. That's what we hope to happen, right? That the people do come in, right? They're not only there for themselves, but for some other people also. And they can gather information up and give that to them so they can come in and get in contact with these agencies that board just talked about.
I have a lot of people that ask me what they can do to help veterans. They want to know where they can volunteer their time to help veterans, especially after the retired military. That's a great place for them to go and get this information and just be able to be a veterans advocate in the community that says, hey, my son is coming back from Afghanistan. And he don't sound like he's a happy camper, and then you got information that you picked up up there in September that you can give to that mother and say, here, when your son gets back here, give him this stuff, But the one thing I've learned is people at the end of the rope, they don't feel like there's any hope anywhere. And if you can give them something with a phone number or a contact.
And that's what we hope to get out of this too, right? To have those people that come in with that kind of situation, to get this information that they may need, to give to someone one of their loved ones, whatever the case may be. And that's why Board told you about the agencies that we got. Most of them is health agencies, rehab agencies. Even though some of them, we got AFES, we got the credit unions, but we got most of the mental health or the health agencies in this area to come to this event, so they can get that kind of information that they may need to pass on to someone else or for themselves, wherever the case may be.
People know about the 22, that the VA is proud they reduced that down to 20 now, the average of veterans committing suicide per day. And I tell people on here to think about it when you lay your head down tonight, that 22 veterans took their own life. They go through all the hell they go through, and only to do, and I had a lady on here, she lost her son, committed suicide, or took his life after Marine Corps, and it had to do with substance abuse. He got kicked out of the Marine Corps for substance abuse and found himself at the end of the rope. But the day that he found some information like you guys were talking about, he got that information that day, but he didn't have a chance. Took his life that night. But had he had done it a week or few before, he still might be with us. But it's something that's real that's out there. And why does Anderson Army Depot, you don't want to answer, why does Anderson Army Depot take that? But is it to do with the number of veterans, or is it just something that it passed down through the chain? Or what? Why do they take this on?
Well, I think it is because we hire veterans there at Anniston Army Depot, and it's community outreach for us. We feel like that if we can, if we keep our veterans healthy, those are potential employees for us in the community. And then also maintaining the ones that we have. If there's resources out there available to them, we want to make sure they know about it, whether they're employed with us or not. And not only that, we talk about, the suicide rate for veterans. Want to also point out that there will be services there for their dependents as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Because
And-
they struggle.
And federal employees, so it's not only the veterans that we try to get to come out. Federal employees, survivors, other people that have, passed on, whatever the case may be, we want them to come out too. So it's just not for the veterans, it's for the federal employees that do work on Anniston or in this area.
Yeah, well, they're telling there we got to go to a break. So when we do that, come back, we're going to talk more about, let's talk more about the spouses, the survivors, and that kind of thing as we come back. We're going to go to a break, come back, we're going to talk more about the Anniston Army Depot, the Supermarket of Veterans Benefits in September. Be right back. Welcome back to Veterans Issues, and during the break, me and the producer, Kizzy, we're going to Hollywood, and we're going to start a show out there. When we left, we were talking about the people that we want to gear this to, the September supermarket benefit. We mentioned spouses and family members. Can it be a daughter of a veteran? Can it be a daughter of someone who's serving in the overseas now? Or does it have to be the spouse that's eligible to come down?
Well, we invite anyone to attend.
Oh, you do?
There's going to be services for pretty much anyone that shows up, whether they're a veteran or not.
Well, I misread. I thought you had to be a military or civilian depot or veteran or whatever. So anyone in Anniston or Oxford that wants to go out there that's interested in helping veterans or whatever can visit that and get a packet.
Well, sure.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
See,
Most
that's
definitely.
what I didn't know.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Even
So-
though we said those people, but anybody can come to it. It's open to the public. It's open to everybody.
So those people that keep calling me and saying, I'd like to help veterans, I'd like to do something, this is a great opportunity, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. To get to event, because the worst thing to do is give bad information. And I always have this fear. I told you out in the blue room or green room, we were talking about talking people off the ledge. I'm in the process of that right now with a young Marine. The fear of saying or doing the wrong thing that would provoke them to go on over the ledge. So maybe something to pick up in a packet, a phone number or something like that would give you that tool that you need to be able to help that person. Because the worst thing you feel is not being able to help somebody. Is that?
And we're going to have agencies there that do have that kind of information for you, though. If somebody needs some kind of assistance as far as taking that person off the ledge, whatever the case may be, we're going to have the mental health people there that do that on a daily basis. So they're going to have information to provide to whoever may need that kind of assistance.
How many times have you heard either one of you this question here? Oh, I know he's getting ready to take his life, but I can't do anything because the law won't let me intervene. You know, there's nothing says I can do anything. You can't call the law and say he's going to kill himself or she's going to kill herself. It's going to be, you know, that you feel helpless. But if you have something that you can put in that person's hand at their convenience, they sit down and look at it and make them have a second thought. Because that's what it do. You got to break that little circuit somehow where they're on this road to go this way to make that circuit go over here. Take a break, calm down, and then talk about it. Think about it. Would you agree?
I agree. Boy, you have something like that.
Yeah, there'll be several agencies there that will be able to, even if it's a brochure, you know, that says, hey, call this number if you're at risk for suicide. So, you know, if someone feels that they're not adequately prepared to help somebody that may be at risk, you know, there's going to be, you know, material, brochures, point of contacts for people that they can rely on if they ever find themselves in that situation.
Yeah. I told you off camera, I told you, you know, that when I worked at the depot, I was a supervisor, and it took me a lot of time to realize that alcoholics, it is a disease. It's not something that to be taken lightly. You know, I come from a family, well, if he's just an old drunk, you know, and we got to get out of that. We got to educate people that there is a way to get out. You got to educate the person who's the drinker too. You know, you got to educate them that this is not the only way they have to be in their minds. You know, I've never been a drinker, but I have been a smoker. But my mind told me when to smoke. My mind told me I need a cigarette real bad. And matter of fact, I ain't smoked in about 20 years, but I want one right now. You know, in my mind. And so we got to break that cycle somehow too. And it ruins so many homes, don't it?
Yes, sir.
It tears them apart.
It does.
And
does.
and you set up another cycle for another generation to follow behind you doing like Daddy did, you know. And but the spouse. They said we talked about the suicide, but we hadn't talked too much about substance abuse. I'm talking about substance now. I'm not talking about the drug. I'm talking about the alcohol. The people that are watching us now, and they have someone who's abusing alcohol. They don't. A lot of times they don't want to admit they are, but it's affecting their job. It's affecting their life, their marital life, their children, just being a dad and stuff like that. So once they realize that they got to understand that it's not easy, but there is a way out of it. And is that what you guys understand?
Yes, sir.
That the,
Yes, sir.
the alcoholic has to understand that it's not the only way to go, that they can break that cycle. And it's not, the people that I've known with the 28-day program, that wasn't always the cure, because a lot comes after it, after they go through that. But I know some very successful situations by sending them in, putting them in that program, and I can attest to that does work. Is that what you guys experienced?
Yes, we have. Being in the Army Substance Abuse Program, we see a lot of that. Boy and I do what we call a SIS class, and we talk a lot about alcohol and things of that nature too, right? How, a person function while they doing alcohol and things of that nature. So we take them to a 2-day course and talk about that. But this, the event that we having right here, right, those people do the same kind of thing. They deal with alcoholism on a daily basis also, and they're gonna have information that Boy and I might not be privy to, and it can take a little bit further too also.
Well, when I grew up, they had loving whiskey and fighting whiskey, two kinds. You ever heard that?
Yes, sir.
The fighting whiskey, the way it affects you and the way it affects me would probably be different or vice versa.
Different, yes.
But the one thing I always found is if you're drinking and you're behind the wheel, the highway is so much wider. You got plenty of room, even though you only had that much between you and the car, but you had acres of room. And that speed limit is just nothing when you get a few beers in you, whatever. And that's the way we end up losing people is they don't realize how that's altering the mind. That's as drugs does, and I've been experienced with both of them in my work and service. So that's some way y'all see things, or?
Well, I mean, yeah, pretty much. I mean, alcohol is a drug like any other drug. It can be abused. Or it can be used in moderation. Of course, with illegal drugs, that's not a good road to go down either.
Right.
But one of the things that we see most often is that the sense of having control but actually being out of control.
Well, before we run out of time, one of the things that I've noticed over the years has been the misuse and mishandling of prescription drugs, legal drugs. Do y'all, we got 1 minute to finish this up. What did y'all experience any of that? Were they addicted to Ambien or Xanax or things like that?
Yeah, most people get addicted to those things innocently. They go to their doctor, they have an injury or they can't sleep, whatever the case may be, and then of course they grow dependent upon that medication.
Yep.
And then after they become dependent, it's kind of like the scales tip, and now they're taking it to take care of that dependency instead of the original reason they took it for. It's quite an epidemic in our community right now.
All right, September 16th, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Yes, sir.
at City Meeting Center. We're out of time. Appreciate you coming on here.
Thank you,
Kelvin,
sir.
I appreciate
All right.
pass it on out to the folks out there. I thought they was going to close down the depot when I retired because I was so important, but they still run it. But I appreciate what y'all doing out there.
Thank you, sir.
And these families are benefiting from it. Thanks a lot, guys.
All right, appreciate
Got to
it.
go to break. Come back. I got news that you can use. Be right back.
All right.
Welcome back to Veterans Issues. I appreciate Kelvin coming on doing the show today for the Anderson Army Depot. And y'all remember that September the 16th from 9 to 3 at the City Meeting Center. And just pop in and see what's going on and how you can be of help to that program. And that's a great thing. I'm glad they're doing that. Also, I remember every week I talk to you about if you know someone who has a power chair, a wheelchair that's motorized, no longer used, I have a need for them. I have a lot of veterans that need the chairs, but they're not eligible for them through the VA or other sources. So they need them to go to the mailbox and other things around close to home. So I guess my neighbor uses one going up and down the street to visit folks, but he's not eligible through the VA. But I know that a lot of times I get requests for them. So if you've got one that's the battery's not dead on, let me know, because the reason I said the battery's dead, that's about $280, and I don't want to go into that. But if you got a power chair that's not needed, let me know. The VA has changed some numbers for the audio and the visual place over there, and it's all located in the parking deck. So here's the number. This is what I said you need to pin. The number for the audio, for the hearing, is 877-894-2600. 877-894-2600, extension 4704. Now that's for the audio. Now for the vision care is 866-487-4244. 866-487-4244. That's for your eye clinic, as we call it, and they call it vision care. They also need some volunteers over there to drive the little golf carts around to shuttle the veterans from their cars to the elevators. If those of you who've been over there know that it's nearly a city block from where you can park sometimes, and you have to go uphill to go to the elevator. So they're going to be picking you up at your automobile, and vice versa. They'll pick you up at the elevator, take you back to your car. So if you're interested in that, here's the number to call, 205-933-4396. Oh, you didn't have time to get a pen. Okay, here you go, 205-933-4396. All the people here in the audience, they wrote that down. Now, the women's clinic is open there too at 2415 7th Avenue South, 2415 7th Avenue South. Now, I told you about the choice program. If you're not in the choice program, you need to get into the choice program. Do it at your clinic. You can do it here at Oxford Clinic. You can do it at the Southside Clinic or Childersburg. Any of those. Get into the choice program, because I had an appointment at the eye clinic in Birmingham. And they called me, said, "You'd rather go local?" I said, "Sure." So yesterday, I went to a local optometrist here in Anniston and got my prescription for glasses. So it does work, and would invite you to do that to save you a trip to Birmingham. The law enforcement tag has helped us build that law enforcement memorial up there in Anniston, and the next one we're going to build using that same revenue will be the Afghanistan Memorial. I'm telling you that for the first time, but I want you to go, when you go to get your tag renewed, look into getting a law enforcement tag. That's a memorial tag that it salutes and honors those who have died in the line of duty. It also says something about the driver of that car that's exhibiting that tag. I always talk about the 22 lives on here. I noticed on my notes that I had marked it down to 20. I'm going to leave it at 22 because nobody's proved me that we're losing it 2 less a day, and if we do, I don't know how we're doing that. But I do want to remind you about Kia. Kia down here on Kita Automotive down at South Quintard and in Gadsden. And they are sponsors of the show. We appreciate them. For the first responders and veterans, get 20% discount on service. We got to go. This week's salute goes out to all the folks out at the depot, Kelvin and Boyd here, especially all the others out there work for the suicide prevention and substance abuse. We'll see you next week. Veterans Issues, we're gone.